Part 36. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 351. Ruan Yan suddenly froze. If you leave this house today, I will call the maid and ask the master to interrogate you. What is your purpose of sneaking in? Zhao Yu will not worry about Ruan Yan's feelings. Now that she has come in, he has no intention of letting her out. This is just a plaything for people's entertainment. Why do they pretend to be noble? Today there are many dignitaries gathering here. Do you want to find someone to become a young mistress? I advise you to give up this idea and just obey me. Although I won't give you a status, I can give you a sum of money to redeem your life and change your life. Ruan Yan squeezed her hands tightly into her palms and endured Zhao Yu's humiliation and trampling. Be human. These three words were like a sharp knife piercing her heart. Want to climb into Master Gu's bed? Zhao Yu untied her belt and mocked mercilessly. Don't say you touch his body, just touch a piece of his sleeve. If you take a breath, you are capable. Ruan Yan unexpectedly thought of the conversation of the ladies outside and the appearance of Mrs. Gu, and despair gradually arose in her heart. Standing stiffly on the spot, she did not resist and allowed Zhao Yu to do what he did to her. There is no hope of getting close to Gu Huizi. After returning home, she must be a woman who can do her best for her husband. Zhao Yu laughed at her for having a human air, just a plaything with no dignity at all, and he could do whatever he wanted to her as long as he gave her money. Why should he? He also crawled out of the belly of people like them. How could he be so noble? Ruan Yan was pressed on the table by Zhao Yu, and she clearly felt the pain that seemed to tear her in half. She gripped the edge of the table tightly with her fingers, and her eyes ignited with a desire for power. If she takes the money and leaves, she may not be able to live a decent life. Zhao Yu. He reminded her that maybe he was her way out. Mrs. Zhao doesn't want him to have a hard time, and Zhao Yu's biological mother has learned from the past. As long as she holds on to Mrs. Zhao tightly, she may be able to get what she wants. Mr. Zhao, if you do this to me now, if I say you brought me in, will the Gu family still pursue me? Ruan Yan thought very clearly that Mrs. Zhao would definitely take revenge on Mr. Zhao. Keep her and won't ask Zhao Yu to kill her. A lowly person like me, living by selling my looks, is no worse than some young ladies. You redeemed me, how can I, a weak woman, live? Not to mention that I have already lost my virginity. If it's not for my man, what's the difference between once and countless times? Zhao Yu sneered and his movements became more fierce. Suddenly, he heard Ruan Yan crying and had a bad feeling for no reason. Help, help. Ruan Yan cried miserably, as if she was being tortured, and screamed desperately, help, help. Let me go dash. Bang. The door was opened by the maid, and they saw Ruan Yan's bun was messy. The golden hairpin on her head was tilted and crumbling, her face was full of tears, her eyes were filled with despair, and she was being humiliated. She was stunned and closed the door with a clang. She happened to see Chi Wu coming after hearing the noise. She asked him to stare at the person and immediately went to the banquet hall to report the news. Ruan Yan saw that the leader was the maid who took her to pay tribute. Behind her stood several ladies. They turned their backs in panic. They were the noble ladies who had been discussing Gu Huizi before. Before she could speak, the person left again, and she felt cold. Ah! Her hair was pulled back hard, and her face was forced to look up. When she met Zhao Yu's cold and fierce eyebrows, her heart trembled. Bitch, you want to enter the Zhao mansion and be the master? There are too many people I've played with. Who will it be your turn? Zhao Yu angrily hit her head on the table, her face was twisted in pain and blood was flowing out. He came out and said with full of malice, do you think I can only give in if the commotion is too big? Even if I kill you, I'll see who asks me to kill you. Ruan Yan opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but her neck was strangled tightly by a pair of hands, showing a painful expression. Her head was pressed against the table, unable to move. She could only feel that her chest was suffocating, her breathing was difficult, her lungs seemed to burst from the pressure, and her soul became lighter. She was really desperate this time and regretted provoking Zhao Yu. In a daze, I heard voices coming from the door. "Uncle, miss, they are all inside." "Open the door," Gu Huizi's cold voice sounded. Zhao Yu's eyes were sharp and he tried to strangle her neck with his hands. The Zhao family has a clean family tradition. Don't make irreparable mistakes." Zhao Yu's expression changed when he heard Mrs. Zhao's voice. "The Zhao family will not protect any descendants who make mistakes." Mrs. Zhao's words contained a warning. Zhao Yu shook his hand and lost his strength. Ruan Yan gathered her strength and pushed Zhao Yu away, shouting miserably, "Help! Zhao Yu wants to kill someone." Bang! Chi Wu broke into the door and saw Zhao Yu pulling up his pants and Ruan Yan slipping to the ground. Her face was pale, her forehead was bruised, there were red and purple bruises on her neck, her pants were piled on her ankles, and her legs were as white as jade. Dazzling red. Ruan Yan's throat was burning, and her breathing was like a knife. She lay on the ground in embarrassment, looking at Gu Huizi with tears in her eyes, and endured the pain and said with difficulty, "Master Gu, I did something wrong yesterday, I shouldn't have delusion. I felt very uneasy when I heard about the fate of those adults, so I wanted to apologize to you. Mr. Zhao took me into the house, but I didn't expect that he would do such a thing to me when he was drunk. Although I was of humble origin, he was unwilling to be humbled. He was an upright official in Qian Tower and had never served anyone before. Naturally, he did not dare to obey, so he became murderous. Please make the decision for me." Ruan Yan kowtowed hard on the ground. Zhao Yu retorted, "I didn't bring this bitch in, she sneaked into the room where I rested. I can't decide where I come from. I want to live like a human being. Mr. Zhao, just because I come from a brothel, you can't treat me as a human being and humiliate me at will." Ruan Yan bruised her forehead and felt full. With tears on his face, he said, "You said I'm just a lowly idiot. If you kill me, no one will dare to let you take your life. However, if the Zhao family wants to deal with me, it will be as easy as crushing an ant." Gu Huizi looked at Mrs. Zhao and said, "This matter is up to you." When Mrs. Zhao heard Ruan Yan's words, her face was cold and she almost lost her composure. Fortunately, Tang Nuan supported her on the back and she calmed down. "This girl, the Zhao family will not use power to suppress others. If Zhao Yu has done something wrong, I will definitely give you justice. P.S. Dear babies, I would like to recommend Soft Bao's new article Rebirth of the Young Lady, Saving Four Beautiful, Strong, and Tragic Brothers. Introduction. In her previous life, Tang Qi misunderstood her brothers and killed her parents in mad revenge. It was only after they died tragically that she learned the truth. Tang Qi brought the system back to life and found that he had begun to seek death. Host, your life is in arrears, lick the favor points of your brothers and live to 99. Tang Qi looked at the fourth brother who had ruined his career as a star. The third brother is full of poisonous material at the box office. The second brother, a medical genius who cannot hold a scalpel due to an injured hand. No business tycoon deserves a loving elder brother. She said, "It is impossible to lick, but it can make your brothers become gods." Brothers. Try another trick to commit suicide. When they strived to reach the top, Tang Qi was pushed against the wall when she retired after her success. "Xiao Qi, won't you save me?" Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Bao Bao. Chapter 352. Ruan Yan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. She won the bet. Zhao Yu's expression changed suddenly. Except for him and his father, who were two outliers, everyone else in the Zhao family had both ability and political integrity. Under Jin Huiyu, he could tolerate his and his father's dissolute behavior and would never allow them to commit crimes. The family motto of the Zhao family is engraved on the east wall of the main hall. One of them is, any descendant of the Zhao family who commits corruption and abuse shall not be allowed to return to the family. After death, they shall not be buried in a big tomb. Do not follow my will, not my descendants. Zhao Yu broke into a cold sweat and was glad that he didn't really strangle Ruan Yan to death. If he was strangled to death, even if Mrs. Zhao loved him, she would not violate family rules to protect him. Mrs. Zhao saw that he was silent and became furious. This girl comes from a humble background. This is no reason for you to humiliate her. The Zhao family has been loyal and patriotic for generations, loving the people as their own children, and has never used power for personal gain. What you are doing what? Insulting the people whom the ancestors of the Zhao family protected with their blood. Mother, she seduced me. Zhao Yu was eager to explain, but Mrs. Zhao interrupted him and said in disappointment, if she seduced you, how dare she ask for help? Not only did she lose her reputation, but also offended you, and her life became even more difficult. Why bother? Zhao Yu was speechless, angry, and anxious, and resented Mrs. Zhao. She used to defend him unconditionally no matter what he did. This time, she believed this bitch and embarrassed him in public. I'm telling the truth. Whether you believe it or not, Zhao Yu's face turned pale as he walked out. You are not my biological mother, so you cannot treat me wholeheartedly. I am too lazy to tell you. Zhao Yu was confident that his biological mother had the Zhao family seed in her belly and could not even enter the Zhao family's door. Just Ruan Yan? She deserves it too. Mrs. Zhao blood surged, and her whole body was on the verge of collapse. Second sister-in-law, Tang Nuan supported her. Zhao Wei said coldly, Zhao De, take him back to the house. Yes, Zhao De immediately captured Zhao Yu. You bastard! Let me go, Zhao Yu yelled, fourth uncle. This is the matter of the second room, you have to take care of it too. Zhao De directly removed his chin. Zhao Yu was so angry that he almost ascended to heaven and was forcibly escorted back to his home. Zhao Wei, second sister-in-law, Tang Nuan will accompany you back home. Mrs. Zhao face turned pale, she nodded, and said to Tang Nuan, who looked concerned about her, Nuan, I delayed you. Second sister-in-law, you're welcome. Tang Nuan shook his head. In the Duke Zhao's mansion, Mrs. Zhao was the best to her, and she felt as if she was her biological daughter. Seeing that she was not yet 40, she looked old, with white hair growing on her temples. He held her arm steady, I will take you back now. Mrs. Zhao glanced at Ruan Yan and ordered the maid beside her, take her back with you. When passing by Suwan, she said apologetically, Princess, you disturbed the full moon ceremony today and ruined everyone's interest. I would like to apologize to you here. I will come to apologize in person after finishing the family affairs. Suwan's eyes moved away from Ruan Yan's face and landed on Mrs. Zhao's face. Seeing her face turned green, she frowned and said, no need to apologize. Come to my place for tea tomorrow when you have time. I'll give you a safe pulse. Mrs. Zhao accepted Suwan's kindness and left with others. The other guests were so disturbed that they all said goodbye to the host's house. Suwan and Gu Huizi returned to the front hall after seeing off the guests. Mother Gu hugged Gu Jiao with a look of surprise on her face. How could the Zhao family be such a gangster? They were attending the full moon ceremony and brought a woman to the door. Hanging out. Jiao Jiao's full moon ceremony ended in such a sloppy way. Gu Huizi said with a cold face, Zhao, you didn't bring it? The author has something to say. Today, Ruan Bao went back to her parents' house to say goodbye to the new year. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 353. That girl lied. Why didn't the Zhao family explain clearly? With her status, how did she get in? Gu's mother made a long face, and her eyes were like knives piercing Gu Huizi. She said she would apologize to you before, right? What's going on? You're out of business. You're still going to that place. Gu Huizi looked at Gu's mother with an expression that said, if you dare to do anything sorry for Suwan, you will die. The veins on his forehead were beating. It's just eating, nothing else. The invitation came from somewhere else. Just check which invitations to send and you will know. He looked solemn and expressed his loyalty. Mother, I will not be sorry for Wan Wan. No one can tell until the end. Mother Gu thought of Ruan Yan's words, and suddenly bad memories came to her mind, and she snorted coldly, if you're not afraid of thieves stealing, you're afraid of thieves missing you. Gu Huizi. Suwan came to his rescue and said, Mom, he came back last night and told me about Qian Tower. Those who invited him to Qian Tower with evil intentions have all been punished. After a pause, she sighed. He said, her background is the result of Huizi's identity, and she wants to reach the sky in one step. This girl and Mr. Zhao didn't tell the truth. We don't know how they got entangled in the beginning, but in the end both of them have a plan. Gu's mother was not the woman from the countryside before. She had stayed in the capital for nearly 2 years and had heard and seen a lot, so she naturally understood the meaning of Suwan's words. The girl wanted Huizi's power, and maybe for this reason, she turned to Zhao Yu and grabbed this branch to climb out of the mire. Zhao Yu is a philanderer who only pursues beauty. It's really terrible. We originally agreed to invite only friends and relatives to have a lively full moon ceremony for Jiao Jiao. But you proudly invited some random people to the door and ruined Jiao Jiao's full moon ceremony. Mother Gu. He gouged out Gu Hui's eyes and warned him, the 100 days ceremony will only be lively for my family. Gu Huizi was wrong and agreed with Gu's mother's words. My dear grandson, I've wronged you today. I'll take you for a walk. Our house is so beautiful. Let's get some sunshine. Mother Gu picked up the child and was about to get up, when she saw the little guy grinning and showing off his pink face. She was shocked by her tender gums, laughing. Jiao Jiao is smiling, look. Gu Huizi and Suwan looked over and saw the corners of her mouth turning down. The two people's emotions were agitated, and they felt a sense of regret that they didn't see her smile. Suwan said, generally, babies don't laugh until 2 or 3 months ago. She is a child who can laugh very early, but this kind of smile is unconscious. She is a smart child. Gu Huizi was not modest at all, and gently played with Gu Jiao's cheek with his fingers. Jiao, I am daddy. Gu Jiao's big eyes were like 2 crystal grapes. She stared at him for a long time and then rolled her eyes. Suwan couldn't help laughing. Gu Huizi didn't feel annoyed at all. It was novel and at the same time a little helpless. It was a very subtle mood. He wanted to laugh and felt warm in his heart. Look at you, are you disliked by your daughter? Gu's mother was in a good mood. It seemed that her granddaughter rolled her eyes at her father and was on her side, carrying her little Zizai around the house. Chi Wu and Qing Yuan followed Mother Gu. Gu Huizi was a little reluctant to leave. After all, he had something to deal with, so he didn't go with him. Her expressions now are all unconscious, a kind of instinct. After about 3 months, she will be able to make people giggle and roll over. Suwan's heart softened when she mentioned the child. She only eats and sleeps, and wakes up. Lie down and don't cry or fuss. I only grunted a few times when I was peeing, having poop, and feeling very uncomfortable. If she didn't realize it, she would scream twice. Very easy to carry. Gu Huizi held Suwan's hand in anticipation and said, "Mrs. Gu, thank you for giving me such a lovely child." He put his arms around Suwan's shoulders and kissed her on the side of her face. "We are husband and wife. There is no doubt about love. Nothing in this world, except life and death, can separate us." Suwan felt something was stuffed into her palm. It was cold and hard. His hand wrapped around her fist was hot, and he pressed the object in his hand against his chest. "You can use it to dig in from here, and you will fulfill my promise to you today." Suwan's eyelashes trembled. She lowered her head and saw the hands held together by the two people. The top was a delicately crafted lily, shining with golden light. "What are you talking about? Why do I want your life? Besides, if you really change your mind, are there other women who will stand up to take your life for me? I am not a person who only has love between men and women in my life. There are many important people. From the moment you betrayed me, you will be eliminated from my life. I will have no hatred towards you." Suwan curled her lips and smiled passionately and charmingly. "Are you afraid that no one will want me as the daughter of a noble prince? When I do, all kinds of handsome men will be recruited into the house to be my face, so that they can compete for me and be jealous. Doesn't it sound good just to gain my favor? Why bother to compete with other women for a man and lose yourself? Well." Gu Huizi covered her mouth and kissed her deeply, holding her in his arms with both hands. There were deep emotions in his eyes, as if there was an undercurrent and a storm sweeping over her. Just thinking that she would do that made him jealous and angry. Suwan frowned in pain. The agitation in his body made him want to punish her severely, but in the end he restrained himself and hugged her tightly with his strong arms, put his thin lips next to her ear, and gritted his teeth and said, "Don't even think about it." Suwan's head tilted with itching ears, and his thin lips rubbed against her neck, as if rubbing her ears and temples. The wet feeling made her heart pound. Her consciousness wandered with his breathing, and finally covered her carotid artery dangerously. "Go down, if you find one, I will kill one." Suwan was angry and funny, putting her hands on his chest. "You should just lock me up." "That's a good idea." "You have a beautiful idea." Suwan pushed him away, rubbed her itchy neck, and rolled her eyes at him. "It was your rotten love, but now you are pursuing me." Gu Huizi raised his lips and smiled, took the gold hairpin from her hand, arranged her hair and pinned it in her hair. "As you hold a high position, it is inevitable that you will have social interactions. I believe you can stick to your heart. I don't care what the occasion is, as long as you don't let other women get close to you." Suwan made it clear, it's not okay to act on occasion. Gu Huizi loved her possessiveness towards him, and it seemed that only in this way could she feel his position in her heart more directly. After this incident, no one dares. Gu Huizi's eyes fell behind her. The people in the room had already left with a wink. When he saw someone walking by the window, he stretched out his hand to straighten her clothes. "Here comes someone." "My lord, madam, I have brought all the invitations and registers." The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 354. Come in. Gu Huizi and Suwan sat down. Suwan felt a little uncomfortable and touched her neck again. When she met Gu Huizi's smiling eyes, her cheeks turned red and she said angrily, "Why are you laughing?" Gu Huizi's smile deepened and he raised his hand to touch her soft hair. Suwan was actually comforted and became increasingly embarrassed. The two of them are already an old married couple. The housekeeper and the two servants in charge of registration brought in all the invitations, as well as several pages of red registration paper, which contained gifts from so-and-so, and placed them all on the small table between the couple. Gu Huizi picked up a few pages of registration lists and looked at them carefully. Suwan looked at the invitation. The housekeeper stood aside and said cautiously, "My lord, madam, I don't know all the civil and military officials, let alone the family members. Only those who have close contact with you are familiar with each other. This leaves a big loophole. I don't know who will come. Yes, no one is here." Suwan frowned. Although her name was written on the invitation, Ruan Yan used the name on the invitation, and she couldn't find out whose invitation she got. We can only look at the names that don't match the list and the invitation, and the names on the registration list. If there are people who are coming, check them one by one. Gu Huizi read the list and found that he could recognize all the people who gave the invitation. Everyone registered on the list is here. Gu Huizi felt strange. Did he guess wrong? Did Ruan Yan come with Zhao Yu? He read it again and placed the three pieces of paper side by side. Suddenly, he discovered a problem. What's going on here? Gu Huizi pointed to two places. The first registration list records the second room of Duke Zhao's house. The second registration list records the second wife of Duke Zhao's house. Are MRS Zhao and Zhao Yu separate? All the four houses in Duke Zhao's mansion have families. Although they are not divided into separate houses, each party is in charge of the affairs of each house. Except for the second room, the other three rooms held important positions in the court and had a close relationship with Gu Huizi. To show their solemnity, each room gave an invitation card to them. It would be inappropriate to leave out the second room alone, so they also gave an invitation to the second room. The two servants and the housekeeper who registered were confused. Something happened in the house before, so they identified the second lady and Zhao Yu, ruling out that they were pretending to be the second wife. They looked at each other, and the person in charge of registering the second list said, "I remember very clearly that the second MRS Zhao came with Mr. Zhao. The second master did not come, but the eldest master, the third master, and General Zhao all came with their families. They were all together, so I was very impressed." The elder handed over a few invitations, but he didn't check them carefully because he was in a hurry. After saying this, the servant on the first registration list came to his senses. The person who came to the second room of Duke Zhao's mansion seemed to be a young girl. I saw Zhao Ziwen written on the list, which was a man's name, and I read it out immediately. She is returning to her family. Thinking about it now, he broke into a cold sweat. At that time, he thought that no one would be bold enough to make a fuss about the invitation. Gu Huizi and Suwan looked at each other and solved the case. Suwan's expression was complicated. Second Master Zhao is a frequent visitor to the brothel, so it's not surprising that the invitation fell into their hands. Gu Huizi rubbed his brow bones and thought about it. "Emily, go talk to Zhao Zhengxian. Zhao Zhengxian is the eldest son of Duke Zhao's mansion, and he is also the current Duke of Zhao." Emily was ordered to leave. Suwan thought about the situation of the second wife in the Zhao family. Anyone with a discerning eye knew that MRS Zhao wanted to kill Zhao Yu. Just as Zhao Yu said, MRS Zhao was not his biological mother. If it was his biological mother, he would be punished in public and asked to apologize to Ruan Yan. Then he would arrange for someone to send Ruan Yan back to Qian Tower to discuss with the madam in the building how to handle the matter and deal with the aftermath neatly for Zhao Yu. MRS Zhao did not do this. She changed the family motto, scolded Zhao Yu, and asked people to take Ruan Yan back to the Zhao family, which is somewhat intriguing. Suwon remembered Mrs. Zhao's appearance as if she was seriously ill. What was she going to do with this? Gu Huizi asked Emily to send a message to Zhao Qiagong, which was obviously adding fuel to the fire behind his back and did not want to make it a trivial matter. As Suwon expected, Mrs. Zhao made a big move. Tang Nuan helped her back to the house, and Mrs. Zhao had no intention of letting Tang Nuan avoid suspicion. She ordered her maid to put Ruan Yan in bed before preparing to see the old lady. Enemies meet on a narrow road, and halfway there, they meet the angry Mr. Zhao. The second Master Zhao is different from the other three masters of the Zhao family in their strong facial features. He has a peach-shaped face and is gentle and elegant. Time has been particularly kind to him. He is still handsome in his 40s, but has gained a bit of elegance and bookishness as time goes by. At this moment, his lips were pursed tightly, and his eyes, which had never experienced suffering in the world, glared at Mrs. Zhao with blazing anger, and said harshly, "Qin Zhen. You are simply unreasonable. You actually let the fourth kid tie your back. Let him, it's embarrassing in front of everyone. He is your son, and you always protect him no matter what is right or wrong in front of me. Why don't you protect him today?" Tang Nuan heard that Master Zhao was criticizing Mrs. Zhao indiscriminately, and she wanted to go back. Mrs. Zhao looked tired, lowered her eyebrows and said, "I did something inappropriate today, which made you feel wronged." Seeing Madame Zhao admit her mistake, Mr. Zhao waved his hand and showed the second wife's position as the head of the family. "You should go and release you immediately. Don't forget, everything in the Qin family is to reward you for raising you. If something happens to him, the Qin family will spit out everything they eat from the Zhao family." Mrs. Zhao's attitude became more docile and she did not talk back. When Master Zhao saw that Mrs. Zhao was afraid of him, most of the anger in his heart disappeared. "Mother said that you come from a famous family and are a good wife candidate. You are really useless. It doesn't matter if you can't teach your children well. This little thing can't be settled." I think it's an exaggeration, and her methods are not as good as Luliu's. If she had entered the house, she would not have let you suffer this injustice. I will go to my elder brother and let him handle this matter. Mrs. Zhao's finger bones turned white while she was holding the handkerchief. Tang Nuan couldn't bear it. Mr. Zhao went too far. He compared her with a prostitute. Second sister-in-law. "I'm fine, I just don't want to waste my time arguing with him." Mrs. Zhao looked at Mr. Zhao's figure disappearing through the arch, and said faintly, Nuan, there are thousands of ways for people to live in the world. If one path doesn't work, just take another path. There is always a path that leads to the life you want." She seemed to have something to say, and looked into Tang Nuan's eyes. "Don't be pathetic and cowardly." Tang Nuan asked, "What about you?" Mrs. Zhao touched her head and felt that the child was so well behaved and lovable. "The Qin family is noble, but it is bright and beautiful on the outside. On the inside, it has long been demolished to make up for the West, and it has gradually declined. Sacrificing my own happiness in exchange for the glory of the Qin family. It's good that the daughter of the Qin family doesn't have to make the same mistake as me." Tang Nuan was about to speak but stopped. Mrs. Zhao understood her thoughts and said with a smile, "I am not sad at all for not giving birth to a child that belongs to me. On the contrary, I am very happy. There is no relationship between him and me. If the child has a partial father, it will inevitably make him sad. It also became my bond." The more she didn't care, the more Tang Nuan felt sad for her. The second Mrs. Zhao said no more, entered Mrs. Zhao's house, and knelt directly on the ground. "Mother, my daughter-in-law asks you to separate the second room from the house alone today." I'm crying. The previous chapter was very stuck. I originally wanted to update both chapters at the same time, but seeing that it's almost done, I haven't finished writing this chapter yet, so I can only update one chapter first. Darlings, the update is complete, good morning, okay. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Bao. Chapter 355. Mrs. Zhao already knew the whole story. Her chest was tight and short of breath, and her head was dizzy and painful. She regretted not being strict with Zhao Ziwen, allowing him to indulge in sexual activities, get entangled with a prostitute, and give birth to such an evil obstacle. Madame Zhao came over. Madame Zhao knew what she wanted, but her request was really unexpected. Parents do not separate families when they are alive. Mrs. Zhao felt very complicated about Mrs. Zhao. Second, holding her forehead with her hands, since the Zhao family was founded, families have never been separated. Only unworthy descendants have been expelled from the family. In order to break up Zhao Ziwen and Feng Luer, he fell in love with Qin Zhen, and he happily got married. After they got married, he showed that he had a good relationship with Qin Zhen. The young couple had a good relationship, and Mrs. Zhao thought he had forgotten that woman. Who knew that he did this just to leave the house and find Feng Luer? After that, he brought Feng Luer's child back to his house and gave it to Mrs. Zhao to raise, threatening that from now on he would only have one child, Zhao Yu. He basically did not have sex with Mrs. Zhao. Every time he had sex, he would give her a bowl of bazai soup. Finally, in order to express his determination, he changed bazai soup to jueza soup. After Mrs. Zhao drank it, no longer able to have children. As a woman, Mrs. Zhao naturally knows how painful and disappointing she feels when her man treats her like this. So she asked to go down and let the Zhao family help the Qin family. Mrs. Zhao thought that Zhao Yu had a problem, and she tried to bring him to her side to raise him. Mother, am I not treating you well? Mrs. Zhao said with a sad expression. After my daughter-in-law returns, she will send someone to bring you. Zhao Yu's biological mother is no longer liked by Mrs. Zhao, but she has the blood of the Zhao family flowing in her body, so she cannot leave her alone. Cruelly, he sent someone to accompany Mrs. Zhao to the second room to fetch Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu cried and made trouble, but refused to leave Mrs. Zhao. Zhao Ziwen came to express his love in person. Mrs. Zhao had nothing to do with her. Zhao Yu was raised by her. If she took Zhao Yu away, Qin Zhen would be so disappointed. The first mother that Zhao Yu called was Qin Zhen. Mother and son had a close relationship and asked her not to interfere anymore. Mrs. Zhao was exhausted mentally and physically and no longer cared about her second wife's affairs. Mom, since ancient times, families have not been divided to unite the strength of the family and not divide the forces in the family. You know better than anyone what is going on with my master. He cannot contribute to the family, but instead adds chaos to the family. Divide us. Going out will not affect the foundation of the Zhao family and can also protect the reputation of the Zhao family. Mrs. Zhao said clearly, Master, you ruined my life because of your birth mother. I know you care about me, you turn a blind eye to what I do, and you even help my natal family. Yu is now following the same path as his father, and at the Gu family's full moon ceremony, he touched a girl from Qian Tower, and all the guests saw it. If he has feelings for that girl and breaks them up again, I'm afraid he will ruin another girl's life. Mrs. Zhao smiled bitterly and said, my daughter-in-law, can't bear it. These words pierced Mrs. Zhao's heart, and she felt sad. If there is no love, that's fine. You can arrange a marriage for him. Mrs. Zhao's second wife said with a worried face, his biological mother has been criticized by others. If he wants to get married, someone who is the same as the Zhao family will not. I am willing to marry him. Although he is a wife of a low status, he has been raised by me as my legitimate son for these years. He has a high vision. He is only afraid of being resentful towards me if he marries a person of low status. Mrs. Zhao frowned and sighed as she remembered what her maid had repeated. He blamed me for not being his biological mother. He was estranged from me in his heart and did not treat me as his biological mother. Mrs. Zhao said with a trace of sadness between her brows and said with a bitter smile, if the marriage is not what he wants, he will alienate me even more. Mrs. Zhao knew this, but she still didn't let go. Zhen, this Miss Ruan is being raised outside by you. If he likes it, then she won't marry him. If he doesn't like it, just be obedient and find a suitable girl to get married to. I, the old woman, will be in charge of his marriage, so I can't blame you. Mrs. Zhao knew that Mrs. Zhao understood her thoughts, so she refused to agree. That guilt can never be compared to one's own flesh and blood. No matter how bad Zhao Ziwen and Zhao Yu are, they still have the surname Zhao. Ruan Yan's weight is too light and easy to handle. Just when she was about to play her last trump card, the maid's voice came from outside, "My lord." Mrs. Zhao gave her maid a look, help the second lady to get up. Mrs. Zhao stood up by herself without waiting for the maid to help her. At this time, Zhao Zhengxian came in with a serious face, "Mother, the second brother and sister are right, you can separate the second brother. You are just too indulgent and spoiled to him, making him lawless. Let's settle Zhao Yu's matter today. I'm afraid that if I don't know the severity, I will bring trouble to the entire Zhao family in the future." Mrs. Zhao quickly asked, "What happened?" "For the Gu family's full moon ceremony, I gave my second brother an invitation, but he was coaxed away by the woman in Qian Tower. The people from Qian Tower sneaked into the Gu family with the invitation, and that's how the incident between Zhao Yu and Ruan Yan happened." Zhao Zhengxian was extremely disappointed with his second brother. "Just now, the Gu family sent someone to inform me of this matter." The evil obstacle. The evil obstacle. Mrs. Zhao was so angry that she slammed the table and said sternly, "Go and tie up this beast and send it to the Gu family to plead guilty. Do you think this matter can be turned into friendship by just apologizing? Ruan Yan is the person Li Yishi wants to give to Mr. Gu. No official involved in this matter can stay out of it." Zhao Zhengxian sneered. "Ruan Yan took him the invitation came to the Gu mansion, who do you think it was for?" Madame Zhao broke out in a cold sweat. "Ruan Yan was doing it for Gu Huizi. By mistake, he got mixed up with Zhao Yu. Fortunately, things ended like this. If the Gu family fell into Ruan Yan's trap, the Zhao family might become a thorn in the Gu family's side. Although the Zhao family is the ancestral family of the Empress Dowager, the new emperor is close to the Gu family. If Gu Huizi really wants to clean up the Zhao family, both parties will suffer. Mom, if the second brother is separated, he will still be our brother. If he is in trouble in the future, he will definitely help him." Zhao Zhengxian comforted Mrs. Zhao and said, "Maybe there is no big tree like the Zhao family to shade him, and the father and son will do their best. It will be more stable." Mrs. Zhao seemed to have aged 10 years. She waved her hand and said, "I'll leave this matter to you. I'm old and can't control him." When Zhao Zhengxian saw his mother relenting, he stepped forward to handle the matter. Second, Madame Zhao took Tang Nuan to say goodbye, left the old lady's house, and caught up with Zhao Zhengxian and said, "Brother, unless we are at the end of our rope, the Zhao family will not lend a helping hand to us." Zhao Zhengxian's eyes moved around her face, and he finally nodded and warned, "Second younger brother and sister, you have always acted in a measured way, and some things should be done in moderation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 356. This matter was no small matter. Zhao Zhengxian returned to the eldest room to discuss it with Mrs. Zhao. This matter needs to be explained to the Gu family. It's okay to separate the second brother. Tomorrow, I will personally come to apologize to the Gu family. Mrs. Zhao was not happy about Zhao Zi's arrival. She frowned and said, he does things as he pleases and never considers the interests of the family. How much mess did you brothers clean up for him? Zhao Zhengxian had a headache for this younger brother, and mentioned Mrs. Zhao. She begged me not to help my second brother too much, and not to help them until they are completely exhausted. I agree with the second younger brother and sister. If you continue to support him, what's the point of dividing the family? Mrs. Zhao pitted Mrs. Zhao. She flew towards Zhao Zhengxian with a knife in her eyes. If you give me a favor, I will fight with you. Separate him, there will be resentment in his heart. No matter how kind you are, he will not appreciate it. After a while, he will be hard-pressed and can't afford a hot meal, so he will be grateful if you help him. Zhao Zhengxian rubbed his eyebrows and felt that his wife was right. Okay, don't worry about this, leave it to me. Mrs. Zhao took the hot potato. Zhao Zhengxian breathed a sigh of relief. I'll leave this matter to you. When the whole family comes tomorrow, we can discuss the separation of the family. Mrs. Zhao massaged Zhao Zhengxian's temples and said, I'll go find mother later and reconcile the accounts. Thank you for your hard work. Zhao Zhengxian held her hand and rubbed the back of her hand with his thumb. You can go now. Mrs. Zhao did as she was told and left, but not to the accounting room, but to the second room. When the maid guarding the door saw her, she said respectfully, Madam, please come in. When Mrs. Zhao saw her silence, she moved her eyebrows slightly and followed her maid into the house. Sister-in-law, you are here. Mrs. Zhao was sitting on the soft couch and looked at Mrs. Zhao with a smile on her lips. Nuan and I are talking. Tang Nuan stood up and called out, Sister-in-law. Don't be formal, sit down. Mrs. Zhao took Tang Nuan's hand, asked her to sit down, and said to the second Mrs. Zhao on the side, the master has left the affairs of your second room to me. What are your plans? Mrs. Zhao held a wooden box in her hand, her fingers gently brushed the carved branch patterns on the box, and said softly, I found the whereabouts of Feng Luer. Mrs. Zhao was shocked. You. After we are separated, I will reveal the news to them and their son. Mrs. Zhao had already planned this game of chess. It turned out that she was waiting for the opportunity, but she didn't expect the opportunity to come so quickly. Mrs. Zhao knew in her heart that she was afraid that there would be problems with Feng Luer, which would be enough for the Zhao family to give up on Zhao Ziwen completely. What about you? Mrs. Zhao said warmly, do you have any plans for yourself? Sister-in-law, I will not treat myself badly. Mrs. Zhao handed the box to Tang Nuan and warned, this is something I have stored with you. When I need to use it in the future, someone will come and pick it up. Tang Nuan opened her eyes in surprise and turned her head to look at Mrs. Zhao. Mrs. Zhao deliberately said in a sour tone, the fourth brother and sister you love the most in this house are you. My fourth brother and I have the best bond. Mrs. Zhao's second wife forcefully placed it in Tang Nuan's hand. Remember, don't open it. Tang Nuan hugged the box at a loss and responded blankly, second sister-in-law, I will put it away. Mrs. Zhao wanted to talk to Mrs. Zhao privately, so she touched her head and said, go back and hide the things. Remember, no one can look at it. Tang Nuan agreed and returned to the yard with the box in his arms. As soon as he entered the house, he bumped into Zhao Wei who was about to go out. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 357. Zhao Wei was dressed in a black robe, with a cold and solemn expression, and a pair of deep black eyes with a cold edge. His body was tall and strong. When he stood in front of Tang Nuan, he made her look particularly petite. Tang Nuan pursed her lips and moved her feet to the side to make way for him. He stared at the toes of his shoes with moist eyes, and his peripheral vision fell on his waist. There was only a sword, and the jade pendant he wore at the banquet had been taken off. Her fingers dug into the box involuntarily and she bit her lower lip. Did he hate her so much? My heart, which was once wide and open, suddenly felt like it was blocked by a ball of cotton wool. What Mrs. Zhao Er said over and over again in her head was all there. I won't be back for dinner tonight. Don't interfere with the affairs of the second room. Anyone who comes to you will tell them that it's not your business. Let them come to me. Zhao Wei's eyes fell on the top of her head. She had a soft temper and seemed to have nothing to give in except eating. She's interested. She has a close relationship with her second sister-in-law. If her second brother is sent out, he may still fight to stay in the house. No one would tell him that it was his second sister-in-law's request. If the eldest brother refused to let go, he would definitely come to Tang Nuan. Tang Nuan, I'm afraid she doesn't know how to refuse. Oh, Tang Nuan nodded indifferently. She and Zhao Wei were not a serious couple, and it was really not her place to take care of the Zhao family's affairs. Zhao Wei's mouth moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something else. But seeing her eyes wandering around, she didn't want to say anything more to him and stepped away. Wait a minute. Tang Nuan subconsciously stopped Zhao Wei and wanted to ask him if he was at the government office or going to the military camp. If he was at the government office, should he have food delivered as usual? But looking at his sharp lines and angular face, standing in the sunlight, he looked even more stern. She suddenly woke up, swallowed the words that came to her lips, and asked dryly, when will you go to the border? Tang Nuan wanted to end this life quickly. The longer she stayed here, the less she knew how the future would change. The uneasiness in her heart spread, and she subconsciously wanted to escape to protect herself from harm. She has owned very few things since she was a child. Instead of fighting for things that don't belong to her, she will cherish the few things in her hands. She was too afraid of losing. The only grandmother who was good to her passed away, and all she had was herself. Zhao Wei was so kind to her that she accepted him. But that's fine, it's just his responsibility. She didn't want to hand herself over. We agreed before that we would leave the capital after we get married, but now we have postponed it for a long time. Tang Nuan hugged the box in her arms tightly and said in a low voice, if it takes a long time, let's go to the lake, and you can just pretend didn't catch me in the water. Zhao Wei frowned and said, at the beginning of next month. Less than a month later, Tang Nuan breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at his back as he strode away, he didn't feel very happy in his heart. After hiding the wooden box, Tang Nuan prepared to slowly pack away the things that were no longer needed. When the time came, he could leave immediately. She opened the dresser drawer and took out the jewelry box inside. When she opened the lid, she was stunned when she saw what was inside. After a while, she reached out and took out the piece of black jade inside, which was exactly the piece Zhao Wei was wearing today. This is where she keeps her jewelry, Zhao Wei has always known it. His things were somewhere else, not on the dresser, he couldn't have misplaced them. For her? But she was not allowed to touch it before. She had touched it and it was dirty before giving it to her? With this thought, Tang Nuan pursed his lips, feeling aggrieved by being rejected. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 358. Tang Nuan's soft and white hands grasped the jade pendant tightly. The jade was cold, reminding her of the cold Zhao Wei. Everything follows its owner, that's true. Tang Nuan poked the jade pendant with his finger and put it back in the drawer. He neatly packed up all the other things and put them into a box. As the sky darkened, the maid knocked on the door and came in. Fourth madam, do you want to deliver food to fourth master today? Tang Nuan's locked hands paused and remained silent. It's ready in the kitchen. The maid's voice was soft, guessing that the fourth master and the fourth wife had a quarrel. If you don't want to send it away, just leave it and wait for fourth master to come back to make a midnight snack. Send it away. Tang Nuan hung up the lock and lowered his eyelashes and said, don't prepare any more in the future. Oh, okay, the maid hurriedly left, walked to the door, came back again, and said cautiously, Madam, the clothes you asked the embroiderer to make have been delivered, and they are placed in the closet. Tang Nuan was stunned for a moment, then nodded, indicating that he understood. As soon as the maid left, Tang Nuan hesitated for a moment and opened the cabinet. There were 4 sets of summer clothes inside, prepared for Zhao Wei. 2 of the sets are black, and the other 2 are in other colors, one is royal blue and the other is indigo. When she was choosing a color, she thought about it and thought he would look good in indigo. I have been looking forward to it. When the clothes are finished, I will ask Zhao Wei to try them on. Now the relationship between the two is not as good as she thought. Cutting clothes for him is beyond the bounds. Tang Nuan took out a piece of furoshiki, wrapped the clothes, stuffed them at the bottom of the cage and pressed them. After finishing dinner alone, Tang Nuan was ready to go out for a snack. The maid replied, Madam, the second master is here. Tang Nuan was stunned, thinking of Zhao Wei's instructions, tell the second master that I'm going to sleep and wait until the fourth master comes back to tell me something. Yes, before the maid went out, the second master Zhao's voice sounded at the door, fourth brother and sister, I know you are inside, so I just want to say a few words. Tomorrow, the second room will be divided into 2 rooms at home. You and Qin Zhen have a good relationship. You can talk to the fourth brother and ask him to intercede. Don't separate our family. Second brother is here to thank you. If you need help in the future, just ask him. Tang Nuan cleared her throat and said to him through a door, fourth master said that women should regard their husbands as their first priority. They must obey men in everything and cannot climb on top of him. If I want to interfere with his affairs, he will divorce me. Mr. Zhao felt that these words sounded familiar, and he thought to himself, wasn't this what he said to Qin Zhen? He secretly sighed that the 2 of them were indeed brothers, they even spoke the same words. Fourth brother and sister, this is true, but you are married to him in a sedan chair, how can you just divorce? This is a man deliberately bluffing, you must not believe it. Mr. Zhao was worried. Still wanting to continue coaxing, Tang Nuan said aggrievedly, second brother, you know that I have no background. Even if the fourth master divorces me, my mother's family will not make the decision. Mr. Zhao agreed with this. It really spoke to his heart. If the Qin family hadn't grown stronger, he would have divorced Qin Zhen long ago. Fourth brother is not like that. Men, they say one thing but think another thing in their hearts. If you coax him well at night, he will soften his ears. How to coax? Tell me, a deep and cold voice sounded. Tang Nuan was suddenly shocked. Zhao Wei was actually back. On the bed. Second Master Zhao answered subconsciously, turned around, and saw Zhao Wei holding a food box in his hand, staring at him with a coffin face, and he was so frightened that he yelled with trembling voice, fourth brother. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 359. Master Zhao is almost scared to death. What he fears most in this house is this young brother who is nearly 20 years younger than him. This. Master Zhao was trembling and unable to speak complete words. Zhao Wei approached with steady steps. Mr. Zhao was forced to retreat, his back pressed against the closed door. The door was not bolted, and he fell to the ground. Zhao Wei stopped a few steps away from him, condescending and even more oppressive. He didn't have to do anything or speak. His aura alone was enough to intimidate Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhao sat on the ground in a state of embarrassment and said without tears, Fourth brother, second brother has no other intention. He just wants to ask the fourth brother and sister to come forward and help intercede in front of you, so that you can help go to your mother and eldest brother to discuss the matter. Don't give out the second bedroom. Fourth brother, the second brother is old enough to be your father. When you were born, the second brother loved you the most, and you liked to follow the second brother the most. At that time, the relationship between the four of us brothers was extremely harmonious, and we couldn't tell each other apart. You and me. Before my father died, he held our brothers' hands and intertwined them, asking us brothers to support each other and not to fight against each other, so that the Zhao family can prosper. Mr. Zhao said that he was moved to tears. If my father were still alive, he would definitely not agree to let the family live in separate houses. My father will never agree to separate you when he is still alive, but will send you to the frontier for training, Zhao Wei said expressionlessly. Separate yourself, go to the frontier, it is your choice. Mr. Zhao was so shocked by his brother's inhumane words that he held back tears. Forget it, I won't go against my father's last wish. Zhao Wei made a decision on his own, go to the border. Mr. Zhao was excited and said quickly, if you divide it, divide it. He looked like he had wronged Zhao Wei's emotions and accused him, be careful, there will be a day when you ask for help. After leaving these words, he left angrily. The air suddenly condensed. Tang Nuan stood there awkwardly, a little helpless. Zhao Wei looked at her at a loss, as if he would scare her if he opened his mouth. He pursed his lips, turned around and walked towards the eight immortals' table, placed the food box on the table and took out the food inside. A piece of wanfa pork, a piece of boneless pork knuckle, a piece of braised chicken breast, a piece of wild rice, a cup of old chicken soup, and a plate of sesame rolls. Zhao Wei looked at the sumptuous food placed on the table with particularly complicated eyes. He is a soldier. He often eats a big pot of food with the soldiers in the military camp. After getting married, I always have hot meals to eat when I go home, and people from the government department also deliver delicious meals to me. When he left home today, he could clearly see that she was a little unhappy and seemed to be angry with him, but he did not expect that she would still arrange for someone to deliver the meals to the government office. Zhao Wei came back with the food box and unexpectedly saw her second brother talking to her. Her words made him laugh and cry. You don't have to belittle yourself like this. Zhao Wei put the food box on the ground and looked at her with a deep look, don't be afraid of offending him. Tang Nuan nodded and remained silent. Zhao Wei was not good at words. He lowered his eyes and stared at the table of food. If you haven't eaten, sit down and eat together. I've eaten. Tang Nuan felt uncomfortable all over. She didn't want to see Zhao Wei in the first place. He bumped into Mr. Zhao again and listened to their conversation. She just wanted to escape quickly. I'm tired today. First go back to your room and sleep. Zhao Wei saw that she was walking toward the door, and whispered, put the jade pendant I wore today in your box. You can change it to a tassel. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 360. What does it mean? Tang Nuan looked at Zhao Wei blankly. He was eating with his rice bowl and seemed to have no intention of continuing. Suddenly, great anger welled up in her heart, and she asked for no reason, Zhao Wei, what do you mean? Zhao Wei looked at her with deep eyes, and his eyes flashed with surprise. It was the first time he saw her speak so loudly, and her round black eyes seemed to be burning with anger, making them even brighter. We are a couple in name only. We will break up later. You provide me with food and clothing. There is no need to be nice to me anymore. You are really bullying people like this. My heart is also made of flesh, and I will not remain indifferent to the wholehearted kindness of others. So, you have no intention of treating me, don't be nice to me anymore. The last few words were stuck in his throat, and Tang Nuan's eyes turned red. Zhao Wei put down the bowl and chopsticks and walked over calmly. He handed a handkerchief to her. My things are not used to being touched by others, so there is no other meaning. I can exchange the jade for a tassel, so you can enjoy it. Tang Nuan pinched her fingertips into the palm of her hand, and her eyes were filled with mist. What she wanted to hear was not his explanation at all. Such an explanation would give her delusions. She took a deep breath and directly showed her cards. Zhao Wei, in your heart, what do you think of me? Zhao Wei frowned and said, you are the wife of my Ming matchmaker. Fake. Tang Nuan's eyes widened. Have you ever seen a couple sleeping in separate beds? As soon as these words came out, Tang Nuan realized that she was confused and really lost her head. I mean. Tang Nuan bit her lip and said in frustration, forget it. I respect you. Zhao Wei looked at her disappointed and annoyed look with bright eyes, and whispered, when I proposed marriage to you, I took this marriage seriously. If you are willing to be husband and wife with me, we are husband and wife. If you don't want to, I will give you your freedom. After Tang Nuan was shocked, she lowered her head and said nothing. He didn't like her. If he had her in his heart, he wouldn't say anything about letting her go, not even fight for her. After knowing his intentions, Tang Nuan smiled, as if relieved. We will follow our previous agreement. After a pause, she made an opinion, can you live in the study room? Or I can live in the study room. Zhao Wei frowned and stared at her red eyes, as if he had been wronged, and finally felt relieved. He didn't understand what she was thinking, but he nodded slightly and agreed to her. After the two got married, in order not to let others notice that they lived in the same house, Zhao Wei gave the bed to Tang Nuan, and he stayed on the soft couch for one night. After Tang Nuan got his answer, he ordered his maid, you go to the study and make a bed for the fourth master. I'm a little uncomfortable, so as not to spread my illness to the fourth master. The maid glanced at Tang Nuan, who was pale. The maid responded and went to the study next door to tidy up. Tang Nuan returned to the inner room. Zhao Wei took one look at her slender back and disappeared behind the screen, then looked at the food on the table, but lost all his appetite and went directly to the study. That night, the fake couple, who had been married for several months, slept in separate rooms. Tang Nuan lay on her side on the bed, opening her eyes and staring at the soft couch opposite. In the hazy light and shadow, the soft couch was empty. The person lying on it with his knees bent was now sleeping next door. But in a daze, his breath seemed to be still there. Tossing and turning, I couldn't sleep. She chuckled, a terrible habit. This sentence also applies to Zhao Wei, who also suffered from insomnia.